Yeah, healing spirit is it's how, like we were talking about the difference between treating symptoms and then treating the state of the body. Like treating symptoms a lot of times, if the body's in a good place, you go and treat symptoms and your body reacts kind of quickly. But then there's times where you know, your body's in more of a degenerative place or a degenerative state. And even though you go through and you treat what would normally produce a result for some symptom, it's not reacting. And so you're dealing with two different things when you're doing healing. You're dealing with the symptoms, which are the manifestation, but they're the manifestation of the state of the body. Injuries and things like that, they happen, but the body will usually bounce back from them unless they're too bad. But if the body is in a state of degeneration, then no matter what, the body doesn't respond as well, doesn't heal as well, is prone to get sick more, it's prone to get injured more. It tends to have energy level issues. It has all these different issues, and so we looked at that and began dealing with that in the vibrational state. Like when you look at the aura and the auric program and all those classes that dealt with the aura, there you're looking at the energetic mold or blueprint of the body, the aura. And basically there you're looking at the potential, either the potential for goodness or the potential for decay or injury or whatever it might be. So you're looking at the potential, and if you don't shift that potential, then whatever you do in the body doesn't really hold as well or doesn't happen as quick, right? But once you go into the body, then you're basically looking at, is this a manifestation of just a symptom, which almost everything you can take back to the state of the body. And it's even how we divide things up in the nervous system, where it's fight, flight, and rest and repair. Symptoms are a byproduct of the fight flight mechanism, your body's ability to regenerate and heal those things is an issue associated with the rest and repair mode, which is the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. And so, there's more to it than that, but that's like a simplified way of saying it. And so, when you're dealing with physical components, the more that you can shift the state of the body, the faster the body will heal. Like a good example of this is whiplash. Somebody gets injured and 3 or 4 weeks out, they're not feeling better, those things still ache, and they actually even feel a little bit worse. And as much as you chase after the symptoms, the body is still in a degenerative state. Like the body keeps degenerating. So the symptoms not only don't go away, but they actually progress and get worse, and they get worse and they get worse. And so, I had a student um, who was in the vibrational class, and how I was lecturing and discussing the state of regeneration or the state of degeneration. She had had her whiplash, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And she goes, now I understand my whiplash. Like it didn't make sense to me. Why wasn't I responding? Why wasn't I getting better? I get healings, I get body work, I get chiropractor, and like I feel better for a little bit, and then I get worse again. And she goes, now with that explanation, she goes, I get it. I totally get it. And, you know, that's easier to get because something externally happened. You got into an accident. But sometimes with the body, there's this slow roll of things just degenerating over a period of time. And so that whole idea of the vibrational healing is, now we're looking at, we've gone past the potential of the aura, and now we're looking at the body. And because of what's happened in the past, are we in a state of regeneration and degeneration? Now, the manifestation of that in the emotions and in the mind are tied to like esoterically. If we step away from the physiology, because the physiology, it's complex and it's like a long explanation, and it's a good remedy for insomnia, because like me talking about that for a period of time would put you to sleep. So to look at it from the point of view of a mystical approach or an esoteric approach is we're looking at the aspects of the emotional mental body, but we're looking at it from the point of view of the planets. And we're not working the planetary energies, but we're working the spirits of the planets. And the spirits of the planets are how things manifest. So when we work the planetary energies, part of what we're doing is we're developing the heart, and we're developing and harmonizing the mind. Whenever we work the planets or the alchemical planets, your working aspects, you could say there's 7 stages or 7 layers of harmonizing the mind. And those 7 layers are tied to the 7 planetary aspects, the classic planetary aspects. Now, with that, the planets also have like an energy with consciousness that helps with the manifestation. I mean, it's why astrology is a thing, like how it influences us, how it influences our environment, how it influences people. Is it's not just there's things in the sky that are in these positions and we somehow get impacted. It's there's a manifestation of an energy with consciousness that is manifest, and depending on how we're wired and how we've prepped ourselves, um, that's how these things manifest. And so this is very much associated with conditioning that you've either been born with, or and it comes from your genetics, or it's based on the things that happen. And you're basically dealing with a level of how your body responds to stimuli. So it's instinctive responses, automatic behaviors and thinking, but also how the emotions process things and the mind. And we put in the news, was it the newsletter or flyer, where each of the spirits for the 7 planets impacts, like Saturn is stress, and another one is trauma. But it's not just that, it's like the state that generates the emotion, it's the state that generates the negativity or is cultivating the positive thing, like a sense of well-being or loving kindness. Some of that is being generated by the body, or the opposite is being generated by the body. So it's basically like vibrational healing, but for the emotions and mind. And the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to go through and relive the things from your past. And I would say, when I'm working those spirits of the planets, there's such a shift in the perception, like your perceptions become much more fluid, that you begin to really experience higher consciousness to a much higher degree. You get to experience who you truly are rather than who you are because of what happened to you. And I was doing that practice, like what was that, last night, and I was like, out of everything we've done, if there was a class that was like, this is going to get you closer to enlightenment or something, I was like, this has been the one that would touch that. So many times we're talking about healing, but it shifts your points of perception, which what I notice is I break out of the patterns that I'm like suffering in. Like it's not like I'm miserable, but I'm like, things that I'm like, oh, I'm still doing this over and over again. Ugh. And you go, but like, I'll try to do something different. And when I start doing this class, I'm like, no, I'm done. Done. And it's not even like it's this big ordeal. I just start doing different things. And like I break out of these patterns. So it's like it's a form of like psychotherapy that is not like normal psychotherapy. Like that is not about targeting a symptom or releasing a past event, or it's just about, I don't want to be in the state of trauma anymore. I don't want to be in the state of stress anymore. I don't want to be in the state of fear anymore. I don't want to be in the state of, you know, I don't know. Like for me, I was going like, I don't know, is this self-pity? Is this like, what is this? Feeling sorry for myself because this happened or that happened or it didn't happen. And it's like, I just don't want to be in that state anymore. Like, I don't want to, like, emotions arise from that, thoughts arise from that, behaviors arise from that. And as much as we keep knocking down thoughts and feelings and behaviors and why do I do this and why do I do that and how can I make it different? If we don't change like the state inside, it's just always going to manifest. It's even if we clean it up, the aura, eventually, little by little, it starts to shift it. But if we want an accelerated practice, we go into the state of the body for healing, like we did in the vibrational state. But here, we're going into it and looking at like how are my responses to things, how are my reactions, how are my emotions, how are my thoughts, how do I think, am I staying stuck in some pattern because I just can't break out of it? Because that's the thing with intellect will maintain something even if it's making you miserable. It will maintain it because it doesn't know that the other thing is going to be better, right? So it's always maintaining it. And so as much as you want to break out, there's part of your mind that's like, no, we're going to stay right here. Like, think about it, fantasize about it, but it's not going to happen because the mind goes like, we're staying. This I know. The devil I know, I trust way more than the mystery outside. And that's just I don't know that I call it a fear response of the mind or a stress response of the mind, or I don't know. But like, I think it's probably more a protective mechanism, but it's not something that really serves us. And it doesn't serve our growth, it doesn't serve our healing, it doesn't serve our evolution. It doesn't serve us when we're wanting better relationships or deeper spiritual practice. But if we have also some really deep chronic health issue, it's not serving that either. Like it's not serving any of that. And so it's a way to take this practice and go deeper, feel more of who you are, make your mind work better, make the emotions. It's very stimulating to the heart seed, this practice. It's very, very stimulating. So all this work that we've been doing with the heart and going deeper, like it's going to magnify that practice quite substantially. We've been practicing that for, I don't know, a few months now. And we're going to just keep building on that for a little bit, you know. So anyway, I'll speak more about it, and I think we're putting a flyer out pretty soon. But you know,
Thank you. And then go ahead, Barbara.
hey,
Thanks. Quick question regarding that
Mhm.
class. When I read through the qualities associated with the different planetary spirits, it seemed to me that some of them were a balance of, from my perspective, positive and not so positive. But the balance seemed very different from planet to planet. Was that my perception? Is that just what you put out there, or is that really the difference among
Say it again.
planets?
It's balancing.
So the list you had of the qualities
Mhm.
related to the planets,
Mhm.
some of them seem to have some, from my perspective, positive qualities and not so positive qualities. And others seem to have more challenging qualities. And I wondered if that was just how I was reading the list, if that was
No,
what you put out, or that's actually how it goes planet by planet?
It was like really when I was first making my notes, like I was pulling things out of my notes, I was like, this is why we would treat these areas. Like, so if there's stress, it's like, okay, I'm in a stress state. I'm gonna go to this, spirit of this planet. And
Oh.
so a lot of it is like, how do I address the negative component? Right. But then in addressing the negative component, the byproduct is it produces like these positive aspects. And so like let me just find one and we'll. Okay, so like if we look at the spirits of the sun, so negative things are like fear, self-worth, existential confusion, transference of negativity from others, obsession, compulsion, and even the potential for OCD. But in treating those and in releasing those, greater levels of joy, greater levels of happiness. And like there's still some things that I need to put under each one. So like I would say also greater potential for manifestation. And I would also say uh, I don't know the right word to say it, but it's almost like wish fulfilling. Like I wish this could happen, or I wish that could happen. Like it would be like, well, if I wish it, like why can't I just do it? It's like that kind of mentality. And so you're diminishing the negative, and maybe I need to clarify that on my notes actually when I present it. You're cultivating something and you're diminishing something simultaneously. Like
They're
it's like, yeah,
almost two sides of a coin.
right. Like you're tipping the scale from the negative stuff and in fact, I'm going to present it like that. I think that's it. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, so you're cultivating the positive, because even like self-worth that's there, I mean, that could be negative self-worth or positive self-worth. So even that could be in the good and the bad, you know what I mean? Depending on how you handle that. And so
Thank you.
yeah,
That's
you're shifting how your body, I mean, bottom line is like how we communicate with the elements, like going back to the wish fulfilling component, how we communicate with the environment. Like if you have a really strong emotion or repetitive thought, you're communicating with the earth that then brings the elements or the elementals to your mind and emotion to help bring that forth. So if you're angry or upset, you're bringing that forth. If you're thinking of something positive, or you're really feeling a lot of love about something, you're also bringing that forth, right? How you communicate that to the elements is through these spirits. Like so, it's basically like your messengers. Like whatever you want, you go get it. So you could be pure of heart right now and you think really loving thought, and then you go, okay, you're trying to manifest something, and then you hand it off to the spirit and you go, okay, go give me the building blocks for the elements to bring this forth. Well, if those are very impure, the message is very impure and the outcome is very impure. You know what I mean? So even though you might be like you've shed kind of the past and you're in a place where like, I feel very clear, I feel very loving. And then you put something forth and then you come back and you're like, here we are again. Is it me? Like, what is it? And it's these mechanisms that are how you communicate with the form and bring back the building blocks. And so um, it would have an impact on physical healing, but I would say my experience has been more psychological healing, more emotional, mental, and my like spiritual practice, like my spiritual practice, man, when I do these practices and then I sit and do meditation, it's just off the charts. But I became more aware, like doing this practice, like how much, like for my back, for example, like, I broke my back and, yeah, this happened, that happened. And over the years, like trying, I was supposed to have a surgery like 35 years ago, and I'm like still like, man, it's not going to happen. And so, part of that is imagining the state of the body and everything, and treating the area and the symptoms. I do all the things that we talk about in the classes, but like working this particular component, I realize how much the emotional and mental struggle or stresses in those old situations, the impact it had on my body. And as I let it go, my body responds even faster than just trying to stimulate those state of regeneration. It's like it's a much deeper version of it. It's wounds aren't always physical. Sometimes those emotional wounds start to settle in the body. And the more that I go through, and it's not even like I recall things, but I will say my perception of myself and my body is much clearer and much to the point, and my ability to perceive things in the environment is much, much deeper because of working with the spirits of the associated with the planets. And even, the first time I, like the first, like rough draft, you could say, of me doing this, like I made the regular spirit and then the alchemical spirit. But I had a realization in even working it that way, that like it doesn't have to be two separate things. I can do it all in one shot. I had to use a different primer on like how I would measure to make the blends. And yeah, like this way's even stronger. And I'd say the clairvoyance or the perception of the mind is getting so much clearer and to the point, and like it doesn't have the weird, how you go like, oh, I don't know about this or I don't know about that. It's getting way more one pointed, which is also going to produce greater levels of intuition. And so it's really helped the clairvoyance and the perception. Then when I sit and do like work with like a deity or an angel, I see it to a greater degree, so I'm able to pull it into a much greater degree. Like it's like it's the gift that keeps giving.